Hi again. So you can probably tell from my collection so far, it's mostly walnut and steel firearms. But that does not mean that I'm totally living in the past, which is not a good place to live. I have all kinds of modern firearms. You just haven't seen them yet. But I thought I'll take out a couple, in particular one that you'll really wonder about all my prior videos. So this, as you can see, is a Ruger American. It's in 300 Blackout. This is probably one of my most specialized rigs. I left this on, I don't know why. Anyhow, 300 Blackout. I like the 220 grain bullet. It's subsonic in the right loadings. I think Remington loads subsonic 220 grain. And so what was my idea? I wanted a bolt action rifle with almost no recoil. I wanted to be able to use this fabulous Schmidt Bender scope. So what is this thing? You won't believe this. It's 12.5 to 50 power. Now, depending on whether you've seen my prior videos or not, you may remember I said I don't like big scopes. So this is kind of a contradiction. This is a huge scope. I've actually had bigger scopes, but anyway, the magnification on this thing is, as you can expect, phenomenal. And Schmidt Bender has excellent glass in the range of Zeiss, or maybe even better, some people say. So what did I want to accomplish? I wanted to be able to go to the range or go after varmints or what have you, use the 220 grain bullet, which in this carbine is almost silenced, and if I had a silencer it would be virtually silent. Why did I put it on the Ruger American? Because this scope has a number of turrets for focusing and windage elevation and so on, and then it has an illuminated reticle as well. And the Ruger has this amazing bolt lift which allows it to clear all the turrets. So I really didn't have a choice. I actually first put it on this Kimber, and the Kimber, as you can see, is a Mauser based action. By the way, this gun weighs almost nothing. So I thought light rifle, and people would say you should put a light scope on it. I always thought the opposite. The light rifle allows me to put a decent scope and still have a fairly light rig. But you'll see the bolt handle would hit this, and I tried it, and I tried turning it, and you can you come up with some pretty weird stuff, like putting the scope upside down, which my grandfather told me about in German sniper rifles, just because the reticle sometimes obscures the target. So German snipers used to put the scope upside down, which sounds a little weird, but if you think it through, it works. Anyhow, now I'm talking about the German post reticle, so that makes more sense. Anyhow, I put it on the Kimber. This hit, so no luck. So here's this, like I said, very specialized rig. And I have a high opinion of the Ruger American. I probably used the expression before, but dollar for dollar, the best buy of the so-called modern bolt actions. It's got a rotary magazine, which I think is fantastic. It looks really bad. I mean, I have to say, it looks cheap. But, a lot of cheap things with this new technology actually are pretty good. And this is one of them. And it has this trigger, which I think Savage came out with the basic design a long time ago. And actually there was a trigger called a Canjar, which probably no one remembers, Canjar. And it was the first one that had this tab idea. I have a few on my bench. Anyway, so Ruger American 300 Blackout, not the best trajectory, but it has the ballistic reticle, so I have no problem hitting targets as small as golf balls, which is hard to believe, but any of you could accomplish that. And again, I'm sorry that I'm not at the range shooting pop bottles and golf balls and cell phones or whatever the case may be. And that's interesting, but you could do the same thing. What's more interesting to me is to go through the different aspects of the rifle, and I'm lucky because I can take 5 or 6 different modern or old or what have you firearms and and study them in detail at my leisure, which is partly why I made this channel. I thought I would share this with you, and it's a lot of fun making these videos. Anyhow, so this is a great rig if you can find one. This was not easy to find. Ruger American 300 Blackout, which is an unsung hero. I know they sell AR uppers in 300 Blackout, and people tend to overlook the round, but I don't know, you know, I'm sure there are all kinds of hunters that are out there, and that 220 grain bullet, or even the 110 grain bullet, which is kind of amazing if you think about it, that one small cartridge gives you a range of bullet weights from 110 to 220. I know that's true up to 30-06 as well, which is no coincidence. The Kimber, of course, is 300 Blackout as well. And then I put on these excellent rings, which I'm going to bring to your attention. Iron sights are more and more uncommon, and some people like iron sights, some people don't care. But if you're going to scope your rifle, if you think about it, the logic of a one-piece base, so this is attached, then all you have to do is drop your scope in here and put the tops of the rings on. Kimber makes them. Probably there are other manufacturers. In fact, I'm sure there are. Maybe I saw Leopold's. Both of these rifles have the threaded muzzle, which I haven't taken advantage of just because I don't have a silencer. And to me, it doesn't matter. The 300 Blackout with the 220 grain bullet is very quiet. There's no shock wave from breaking the sound barrier. This one does not have a floor plate. Sorry, you know, when you have a few guns, you forget the features of each. But do I like this action? Kimber, unbelievable. What a great idea. Just miniaturized the Mauser action, which others have done. I'm not sure anybody's done it as well as Kimber. This is a fantastic action, supreme accuracy, and a great trigger. I paid, I think, like $2,000 or maybe more, and then the American, I think I paid like $700, if that. I just don't remember. And there's no accuracy difference. They're the same. In fact, I'd say the American, the Ruger, is just slightly more accurate, but it could be that I shoot it better, and of course with this scope on it, it's hard not to do well. And oh, I wanted to tell you one other thing. You've heard me say that small, like compact scopes are great, and they are when you're hunting. The problem is limited magnification, and of course the greater the magnification, the smaller the field of view. So you want field of view, but I have to share with you that you can't hit what you can't see, and the game is to see. And so I buy scopes with amazing magnification. This thing goes up to 50 power, and if you go to the range and shoot with a 4-power scope after you've been using one with 30 or 50 power, you kind of feel like you are handicapped. And like I said, that's a contradiction, and of course the smaller scope is more practical, and when you're shooting instinctively at a running target, you don't remember what your scope looked like or anything. You just were making the shot. But I thought I'd share that with you. So I hope somebody out there makes a high magnification scope starting at 10 power, which is really the minimum. Under that, it's not really an iron sight terrain, but it's sort of like that. So anyway, there it is. You've got a little presentation on magnification, on lightweight rifles. This thing, I don't know, 4 pounds maybe. This one's more because of the scope. Excellent rifles, excellent cartridge.